So, at the beginning, you're 100%, he's 100%. If you morph into the other person, what's happening is you're getting swallowed. This is a parasitic relationship. Each person needs to be 100% with their own values, with their own rule book. Every single topic. That's why when I talk about the rule book, I say split it up into sections. The astrology wheel is one section, one type of way you could do it. Your body, your health, your work, your friends, things like that. However you want to do your rule book. But that's what I tell my clients. So if we're talking about I have to bowl on Tuesday night with my friends, I would put that in my rules of my friends. And to be a complete person, according to the World Health Organization, you should have a social life, you should have physical health, you should have emotional health, you should have mental health, you should have spiritual health. So you could divide it into these topics. What is your rule about you and your friends? What is you about working out? What is you about intimacy? What is you about maybe getting therapy or unwinding mentally? What are your spiritual practices? When I was going towards the end with my marriage, my husband started running. And he would run at night. And it would frustrate me because I go to sleep early. And then that meant that he would get home from his run at 8 o'clock or 8:30 by the time he showered. And then I could only be with him for a little while. And I wanted to be with him. So my intimacy or my emotional health was conflicting with his physical health. So one of the things I asked was, can you run in the morning a few days of the week? And we made a negotiation that for a little while he would run in the morning. So we made a compromise. And that's what the Persephone is. That's what the vagina is. That's what the creation is. So each person, if nothing else, should have a social life, a physical life, an emotional life, a mental life, and a spiritual life. These are the components of health according to the World Health Organization. So these are the components we should have. If somebody is missing a social life, trust me that it's 0. The other person's going to have 100. You're going to have 0 friends. These people are going to have a ton of friends. What's going to happen? Absolutely. You're going to become dependent, and their friends are going to become your friends, and you're screwed because when you break up, you have no friends. And you're going to have to go and make friends anyway at the end when this separates. So each person, you should give your client an ability to write out their social, their mental, their emotional, their physical, and their spiritual health definitions, or how they satisfy those things in their life. Why? Because that shows that they're a complete person. Complete people do not get swallowed. Complete people do not become parasites. Complete people have a strong cellular boundary. And then they allow husband to come in and wife to come in, hence sex, hence creative energy, hence the new relationship. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I laugh. I only laugh because of the fact that, like, when I started with my husband, I've always been a person that I have friends, right? But I only talk to them maybe like once or twice a year, like, and they're my good friends. We all know we have our own lives. We have to attend to. And when I met his friends, like, obviously, like, they became friends with me or whatever, and I'm cool with them, and I like a lot of his friends, but I would always tell them, you're not my friends, you're his friends. And he never liked that I would say that. And I would tell him all the time, but if the day that anything ever was to happen was, you think that your friends are going to stick around?
They're
me?
not.
And he was like, yeah, but you don't even like friends. You don't even like to have friends. And I'm like, no.
So it's an area of your life. I think that what I hear you saying is that those people that you can talk to and pick up when you get left off once a year, twice a year, are honoring your emotional health. Because if you were to be in a bind, you can call someone.
Oh, yeah.
But your social health, where maybe there's service to an organization or you belong to a club or things like that, this is part of your social health.
Yes, it is.
Then
I say it all the time.
it's that satisfies that piece. But you do have a social circle. You're not isolated. I was very, very isolated after my first divorce. I didn't have a friend. I had like one friend that was my daughter's school teacher, because I was so ashamed of what had happened to me that I was so not worthy of ever being friends with anyone or telling anyone. I mean, it was just horrible. Now I have so many friends. People are coming out of the woodwork. This weekend, one of my clients brought me a cooler with all this organic stuff from a farm that she brought, and she wrote me a note. And she's like, you have let me see light in places I didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't even a person that I knew. I made such an impact. Yesterday I went out to dinner with another friend of mine. I mean, this time, this skinny cow, it's been a completely different thing. I have built my social circle, and I have a strong support system. But these are the categories that you can help your client identify, especially when they're in troublesome relationships. Do you have these? And then if someone says, I don't have a physical practice, I don't run, I don't walk, I don't go to the gym, or they don't have a social practice where they hang out with friends once a week, you give them that as homework. They start developing that. And you know what that's going to do in the relationship? Cause problems.
Oh, yeah.
The minute the therapist gives the spouse, whoever it is, a homework to start meeting this criteria, making friends, losing weight, the problems start. That is where the skinny cow comes. That's where the Saturn cycle comes. That's when you start debating, are we in the law of vibration? This is what I call renegotiation. And that's what makes the vagina is the renegotiation. So you first have a we when you first meet, ideally. Most people don't do this, but now that you're therapist in training, you get a new client, they meet someone new, like me. When I start dating, you're going to say, Francis, do the I and the we. Have your values clear, have the other person clear. Can I use your example for a minute? Mr. Pachi knew she wanted to get married, she wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
First date, they sat down, they were on the same page. They were older, they had waited, they got married, they had their kids. Shared values. They did this in spoken terms. And they created their family. I don't know her marital situation, but next 7 years, 14, 21, something comes up. You have to renegotiate. Maybe it's the children's college, maybe it's the finance, maybe it's the work schedule, whatever it is. That's going to happen every single time in couples. And it's because one of the couples wants to challenge the shared values. And if the couple, the person in the system, challenges the shared values, then what happens? One of two things. They're going to split, or they're going to renegotiate on the new terms. Renegotiate on new terms. Those are your only options. If they split, what do we know about the law of vibration?
They weren't vibrating the same.
They no longer had the same vibration, blonde hair, blue eyes. They no longer had the same shared values. So when they pulled their little paper off the handout, is this a shared value argument? Yes? Okay, it's time to split. And if they renegotiate, what do we know?
That they're on the same, that they're still vibrating.
They're still vibrating the same. They're still having shared values, but now they just want to make some compromise and some renegotiations of how the relationship is going to look. Whether you run 3 nights a week, whether you spend $200 a week on voting, whatever it is. And then you put that in the middle. Does this make sense?
Yes.
This handout, what I will do, remind me, is make it so it's the blank circles with the topic so you could use in practice. Where you'll put the topic and you can hand it out to a client. Okay? Any questions before we wrap up?
Guys, can you please do your